Hello, I'm so sorry about that. Apparently none of you could hear me. So I will go from the top again. My name's Trudie Whitmarsh, and I'm going to be showing you some of the new features in 2016 R2. Now, we did have a lot of new features turn up in 2015, 2016, and then we've got a few extra ones in the R2. I've really concentrated on things that I think would be useful to you, and we can in actual fact send you a full list of the new features. But quite frankly, I'd be here all day if we were going through them all, because there's lots of new features in lots of different areas. What I am going to show you is SmartList Security passwording, which is new in this R2, bank transaction history remove. Now, with this version, they've added a couple of new history tables so that we are able to move our reconciled bank history, bank transactions into history, and then thus enabling us to remove it to make our bank recs work a lot quicker. And I'll show you where the remove is, but there is in financials going to be a routine where you can move bank rec history. So that's come on board. We do have now, which is really useful, batch error ID. So when somebody else is editing a batch, then you will be able to see the name of the other person who is editing the batch. So you can go and hit them over the head. I'm going to show you again another useful one, I think, for day-to-day, is the fact that now you can not only see the tax amount, but you can see the tax percentage displayed in historical transactions. I'm going to run through the all-in-one ledger views with you as well, and we have got a combined GL inquiry. They're the main things, and then I'll just throw in a couple of extra little bits and pieces. Just moving on, as I said, just reiterating, we can email you a full list of the actual full list of enhancements, including the 2015 ones, and we can answer any questions via email direct, or if you want a little demo of some of them, then that can be arranged as well. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to go into my Dynamics GP 16, and as you'll see, it's been the screens. I think the screens personally have been sort of tidied up and cleaned up quite a bit as well, compared to some of the older versions. Now, the first thing I was going to show you is in my Microsoft Dynamics GP and Tools and Setup and System. One of the new features we've got is within SmartList Options. And basically what they've done now as a bit of a security feature is to enable us to password all of our SmartList favorites. So that one password will be applicable to all our SmartLists, and it just means that if someone went to edit one of your the favourite SmartLists, then they would be excuse me, asked for a password. So if you don't give that password out, then you know your SmartList favourites are going to be safe. And that's the main thing of that, and that is the new feature of this version. Okay. So we'll come out of there. Now, I spoke about the fact that you're going to be able to remove bank history. Now, that's going to be found in financials, in utilities, and we've got the option now to remove bank history. Now, if I click into there, now, because, as I say, your bank rec information now is going to be moved into history, and you can do that, this then is where you can remove that bank history, and it may be that you want to then get rid of a bank or inactivate it, or just the fact that your bank recs are getting a bit slow. So in this remove bank history, it depends on the type of transactions that you want to get rid of. You could just get rid of voided transactions or voided receipts. Now, if you have got a bank where there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions, then my advice would be to select a range from and to, so that you're not sat there waiting all day for it to remove all your bank rec items. Your ranges can be by checkbook ID, reconciled audit trail code, or by statement ending dates, which could be quite useful. Don't forget, if you're doing a range, obviously to insert in your restrictions box. And again, my advice would be before going straight into remove history, I'd set my range and I'd print report only first. And then also, probably before I even came into this to start removing, I would do a backup within Dynamics first, and I'll remind you where that is as well. Then of course, you can then go ahead and remove history and print a report at the same time if you wanted to. Okay, and then we would just process to start running that. But that will help speed up all your bank recs. Okay, so again, another useful facility, and you'll notice everywhere there is now add notes everywhere. It's one of these little minor ones that you forget about, and I'm going to point that out again to you in some of the other inquiries so that you don't forget. Okay, now I expect you're all seasoned GP users, but I will just remind you in Dynamics, in maintenance is where we can do a backup and obviously point to the right place. If you don't want to do an internal backup in here, obviously depending on the size of your database or databases, you might want to do something like the remove history of a morning when you know that backups have been done the night before. Okay, I know I'm stating the obvious there, but we can't have too many backups. Okay, let's cancel out of that. Now, one of the other features that came out, actually, it came out in 15, but they've sort of enhanced it a little bit more on the 16R2, which I want to show you. And that's in sales. Well, we've got it in a few places, but I think sales and inventory is where it's really useful. In sales, we have got on our inquiries, and I've got it ready here, a sales all-in-one view. Now if I click in here, what that's going to give me is a screen where I can pick a customer that I want to see information for. Now this is all their information. I am going to show you the all-in view on just a customer transaction record. I'm going to pick up good old Aaron Fitz Electrical. I am in Fabricam, by the way, or 2. Now, this basically has brought up all the transactions for this customer on the one screen. Now, you'll notice I've got quotes, orders, invoices, cash receipts, credits and returns. Now, depending on what you want to see here, there are options at the top. Now, if I click in here, you can actually mark the columns that you want to see on this screen, yeah, just by a tick on and off, which again, is quite useful, I think. I think with this one, because we've gone into all, and rather than sort of picking a transaction, I think just one little caveat: if it's a customer with lots and lots of transactions, depending on the processor speed of your system, will depend how quickly this information is displayed, of course, with all things. Right, okay. I say I want to look at this invoice. I can actually click here on the underline and it will take me then into the information about that particular invoice line by line. And the other useful feature that I wanted to show you whilst I'm in here, while I'm in these all-in-one views, is the fact that we do have a new feature that came out in the R2, and this is this little arrow by the tax. And if I click on that, what we have now is viewing percent and amount. If I click on my little expansion button here, you'll see that I can now see the percentage and the value on my invoice lines. Now that percentage is the actual percentage that went in with the invoice. Yeah, it's not just the percentage from the ID, from the tax ID. It's the actual percentage that went in with the invoice now that they're showing, which again is really useful. You know, especially if you override VAT percentages and things. Okay, and that is a new feature. Again, if I just cross out of here, again we've got our add notes, and again it's date and time stamped, and you can attach a note now to transactions, account windows, and that would just say open note there if I added one. Can't think of anything else. Yeah, and you see it changes to open note. So if anyone came into this inquiry on this particular invoice, they'd see there was a note and they could open it up. And again, I think that's useful for certainly on the purchase side, because you've got this if you need to make notes about why you're not paying something, or again on this side why they're not paying you as well. You can add a note to any of your transactions. Okay, and also it's quite nice to be able to hone into an invoice. Again, not necessarily in this all-in-one view, but maybe in the all-in view one on when we go in via an account as well. From our other inquiry list, maybe you want to re-email this invoice out to a customer. Okay, but just be aware it's this new tax one that's quite nice. It's giving you the original percentage, tax percentage, put in with the invoice. Okay, I'll come out of there and come out of there. And again, I can click, if I click that particular invoice in that box, if it had been an invoice that came from a quote or an order or it had been paid, then these boxes, which I'll show you on another screen in a moment, would be populated. And again, we have funnels here, which is just more criteria, again, for you to hone in on, and whether you want to look at historical, yeah, document number, territory ID, document date, and your usual contains and is equal to. Yeah. And you've got up to 3 levels of those. Okay, I'll come out of there. And also then you can change the sort order here by these arrows. So that's the all-in-one views. You've got that on the purchase ledger, and you've got it within the item on the inventory screen as well. So you can see where documents that bought goods in and goods out, but I'll show you that. So I'm going to cross out of there. Now, again, if I went into inquiry transaction by customer in here, or by document, it wouldn't matter. Again, I could come in to it from here. Again, I'll stick with Aaron. And again, if I just, from my list here, picked a particular invoice, you'll see at the top there I've got lit up again my all-in-one view, which again I can click on. And look, here we are. Now, because that invoice has been paid, that's why I'm seeing a payment in my cash receipts there. And again, I can click on that and then I can see all the information about that particular receipt. Okay. And also quite nice, wherever you see these arrows, I think we forget about them actually, then you can see the actual date it was posted and or any other extra information in the document date. Okay, so I'll cross out of there. And you see automatically that was ticked because I came into it via the customer, and that's why I'm seeing any other information. If it had been from a quote or an order, that would have been in there, but I'm seeing the fact that it's been paid. And I've still got my options at the top, yeah, and I could still add a note here if I wanted to as well. And obviously I've got a redisplay there. Okay, so that's the all-in-one view on the sales. We have got, as I say, we've got the same thing in the purchase ledger. And let me just show you an inventory. I haven't got a lot of information in my inventory, I'm afraid, but I'll just show you where it is in here. In inventory, in item, and let's, as I say, I haven't got a lot of ins and outs on here, I'm afraid, but you'll get the gist. Again, you see I've got the all-in-one view at the top, but I still think this is useful, even though you're not actually seeing anything on my particular screen, because you will see quantity in documentation, quantity moved and quantity out, and again you can drill again further and again add notes. So I just think these are useful little things for you. So I have concentrated more on inquiries because I think we always want to get information at our fingertips, don't we? So that was the sales and inventory, and as I say, in purchasing, on inquiry, you have got the same view. Now, another thing on inquiries that is new as well is in financials. If I go into, again, inquiries and into the summary view, I'll pick an account, and I think I'll go for just accounts receivable. Now, what is a new feature as well within here is the fact that I'm looking at year 2017 here. If I drop down, I can look at any of my other years. Yeah, so I've got 16. I can look at 15, and that was in this version. The fact that you can see by year, and in the detailed inquiry as well, you can drop down and look at your different years. It's a combined all-in-one inquiry on the nominal ledger. And again, I added a note on one particular year figures. Again, it's me, this is a test. And again, I could just delete that note, or again, you can have your notes around the place on particular years, figures or something that you want to do. And again, you can view it in currency, which you could anyway. This is the main thing, the fact that you can just pick a year in your inquiries now. Okay. Right, I'll come out of there. If I go into my financial detailed inquiry, again, I think I shall pick good old accounts receivable. See what I mean here? We've got the years again, so you can pick any of your years. I think I'm going to go back a year here. Also, with the expansion now, you can see more information on the lines for receipts and payments. Oh, yeah. So they do seem to be adding to these expansions all the time. I'll just roll that backup. And again, notes and prints and all the rest that you've had before. Okay, so that's the detailed one, just the fact that you've got that year facility now. By the way, anybody uses fixed assets now? One of the other features with the fact that now you can have a suffix other than 1 when you're saving your fixed assets. And I'm going to show you in SmartList where now when you export out to Excel, numbers are formatted as numbers. So let's show that. I'm going to go into my Dynamics again and into SmartList. They've done quite a lot of work around SmartList, but I know that one of my colleagues is doing a SmartList webinar, so I don't want to tread on his toes. Now, for example, if I open up sales and I go into customers, and I'll go into customer balance. Now, of course, if I was anybody else, I'd be putting in, and I tried to modify, I'd be putting in a password. But now if I want to ship that SmartList out to Excel, I can. This is a VM, so it will say about my office not being registered or something in a moment. But if I right-click on one of these numbers now, and I go into Format Cells, just to show you that they're as good as their word, all numbers are coming out formatted as numbers now, so it does make it a little bit less onerous when you are shipping out any of your SmartLists to Excel. The Excel add-in actually is brilliant for any of your other reports now being able to go out to Excel. And we do have the opportunity to have Word templates now for our stationery layouts that again can be emailed. So some other new features there. I don't know anybody. Yeah, see, I told you that would come up. I'll just come out there. I don't know anybody who does bank with Scotia or Scotia, but they have added that in as an ETF bank format, and that we can now email POs and sales orders. Okay, now I'll just pop out to my PowerPoint a moment, and I'll just click on again. Now I know that's going to be a bit blurry, but obviously I couldn't demonstrate the two people editing the same batch, so I just did a little screenshot. But when that does happen, you will see this wording, this batch is being edited by Bill, he's got here, please try later. So again, we just thought that was yeah, a useful item. Okay, good. Right, well that actually brings me to my conclusion. That was just a little taster of what's available in 2016 R2. A lot of the features did come in 15 and 16, which we'll give you a list of, and if you'd like to see any of the others, then we will be putting on more webinars anyway. And as I say, we have got a SmartList one coming up, and it'll be good for you to have a look at those. But hopefully, as I say, it gives you a little bit of a taster, and you can see that they have cleaned up the whole screens, and they have added a lot of new things. So that brings me to my conclusion, and I'd like to say good afternoon and have a great rest of the day.